Hello, everybody, and welcome to this month's PlayoutONE webinar. My name is Dave Briley-Jones, and with me this evening are my fellow radio station solutions directors, Phil Johnson and Chris Oakley. Well, we're live on Facebook. It's a Friday evening in the UK. Hello, if you're joining us on the other side of the world. It's beautiful weather, has been here in the UK, and we've got some beautiful products to show you today. Now, we've had quite a busy month here at Radio Station Solutions. We launched PlayoutONE V3 at the start of the month to all our users. And truth be told, we got a little bored. So we thought we'd launch two more products. Now, I am being a little bit facetious here. We've been working on the first product that we're going to be showing you tonight for just over a year now. And it is called PlayoutONE Pro. Yes, PlayoutONE Pro. It builds on the familiar look that you have come to love and tell us you love of PlayoutONE Standard, but it brings a few extra touches that are designed for users of stations just needing that little bit more that PlayoutONE, as we're now calling it Standard, doesn't offer. So over the next 30 minutes or so, Phil and Chris are going to take you through the key differences on Pro to Standard. And of course, at any point, if you've got any questions, then you can, of course, drop them into the Facebook chat box, and we will answer them as we go. So I'm going to bring in Phil Johnson now, who has been using PlayoutONE Pro for the last 6 months or so, testing it in his other capacity at Radio Newark. So good evening to you, Phil. I'm going to ask you, first of all, PlayoutONE Pro, why did you feel at Radio Newark you needed a Pro PlayoutONE rather than the Standard?
Good evening, everybody. It's lovely to have you watching and listening on what has been a very nice week for weather in the UK. Wow, it's amazing. To answer your question very briefly and fairly succinctly, we've been used in the past to having a live log system. And this is something that I think a lot of radio stations have had over the years. They've got used to having the log element or the playlist element dynamically updating. So with PlayoutONE as a standard package, you'll be very aware that you have playlists that you load, edit, and then save. What we were keen on at Newark is having a system that would do all of that automatically. So basically the playlist or the log would update as you update it in different parts of the business. So if we have, like we got here, 5 or 6 copies of PlayoutONE Pro, all talking on one database, we will be able to update it from any of the terminals and see those updates live on the air straight away. So in essence, to answer your question, Dave, that was the reason why the people at Radio Newark wanted that version to be put together instead of having the PlayoutONE Standard package.
So the loading of the playlist then, for example, you, I guess, work like a lot of radio stations where lots of edits happen outside of the studio, last minute changes, bits and pieces. And of course, with the PlayoutONE Standard, as we're now calling it, if you make a change to the on-air log that is running in the studio, that change doesn't replicate through. And so you sort of said that, okay, we need to have something, as you say, that replicates instantly. How have you found the other features that we're obviously going to be showing on this webinar today that have sort of moved the radio station forward in terms of offering things that you've not been able to do before? I know we're going to come on to a lot of them in the next couple of minutes or so, so I don't want to give too much away. But can you just give us a little bit of an overview on how the 6 months has been and how users have adopted to it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of the other elements that PlayoutONE has in a standard form that we brought through to Pro have worked well, but Pro obviously does things in a slightly different way. The fact that you could, in the studios here, you can actually voice track from the same studio as you're broadcasting at the same time, using, of course, the inbuilt voice track module within PlayoutONE. This isn't just a Pro product, obviously Standard does this as well. But to have that, presenters are able to manipulate their live logs, so they don't have to go and load and save playlists. They're manipulating logs on the fly. It gives them the ultra flexibility to prep their interviewees. So if they're coming in for a 6 o'clock interview live on air, the afternoon presenter can actually bag up a couple of links ahead of that at that time. So they're not thinking, oh, I better do that voice tracking before I start the show, or I better do something else. They can literally just, in the studio they're broadcasting from, decide to bag up the 20 to 6 link and the 10 to 6 link whilst they go and meet their guests and make them a coffee and just kind of sit them down and get them ready.
And we're going to be talking about the Music One integration with this, obviously, PlayoutONE standard. It's been difficult to sort of merge daily traffic logs in the PlayoutONE standard version. Whereas in this Pro version, we're going to show, obviously, our users today how they can schedule a week's worth of logs, but integrate the traffic on a daily basis, like you would expect to do. I guess that's been a big help as well, meaning that you can now sort of schedule your traffic inventory on a daily basis rather than do it a weekend ahead.
Yeah, it's the option. You see, again, it depends on what situation you have. But yes, you can schedule your music logs, 9 days in advance. A lot of people do this because they've got voice track presenters coming in to assemble programs when they can afford the time to do it. But of course, traffic is a little bit different. For those of you, I don't want to speak down to anybody, but it took me a while to understand what the word traffic meant in broadcasting. It isn't anything to do with cars and horns and whatnot. It's to do with commercial traffic. And that's what we do on a daily basis. Orders change daily. For stations that maybe listen to this that have national sales houses, they'll know that their orders change hourly. So they need to have that dynamic kind of look at what they work with, and PlayoutONE Pro does that for them.
Well, thank you for giving us that little brief overview on what you've been up to on the over the last 6 months, Phil. We're going to go through this webinar, and you are going to be telling us all the little tricks and things you've seen. But for the time being, I'm going to now bring in Chris Oakley, our development director. And Chris, you have again been working very, very hard to create this product, and it's been a long time coming. So let's open it up. Let's have a look at the main difference between Pro and Standard, and that starts with the one log. So Chris, can you run us through how this is different to the main PlayoutONE standard that people have been used to for the past 3 years? Over to you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. They turned into a ping pong ball. Stephen Hawking's crashed. That's what it's.
Patient has.
Not to worry. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So, as you've been going through there, talking about the features and sort of the benefits of having this system. Just to reiterate, yes, PlayoutONE standard. Most people will be familiar with that. It loads the playlists as opposed to them always constantly being there. So you kind of, you got to load them in and stuff. And that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people are very, very familiar with that way of working. In fact, I was for many, many years until I finally went into a radio station and saw a log that was always there. I was like, what? You don't have to load it? That's brilliant. I mean, this was a while ago, I must admit, but I just thought that just seemed like an obvious thing, to be honest with you. Once you'd seen it, it was obvious. So what we've got here, so we have a quick look on the screen. Let me just drag this out a bit bigger so you can see more of it on the screen, so you see what I'm talking about. This is the one log, the living log. And as we can see at the moment, all of these are ticked here, showing us that they have all played. This is telling us that this is the item that's currently playing, or at least the audio is playing. And these are telling me, well, that's going to play on player 1, that's going to play on player 2, and that's going to play on player 3.
I think it's worth, Chris, just noting this one, because when you were designing this, and in the past, with other systems that I've used, and indeed with PlayoutONE standard, it has a timer to basically load the next item into a player, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So with that in mind, some systems will load 30 seconds or so before the end of the previous item. You can obviously select that. With PlayoutONE Pro, we don't do that, do we? Just explain what those numbers are for.
These numbers here.
Yeah.
Well, they're the UIDs.
Sorry. The expected players, those nice numbers with the blue circles around them.
Oh, sorry.
There are numbers everywhere. I know there's numbers in your brain falling out your ears. I understand that.
Yeah. Yes. So, well, those numbers there are literally, like I say, so you can see which player these items are expected to play on. Is that what you want?
That's exactly right. Well, you nearly You've nearly got what I'm after. That's exactly correct. However,
they don't do anything more than that.
No, they do. In a live sense, I'll tell you what we found at Newark, and it may only sound like a small detail, but with every system I've used that has this kind of loading mechanism, it has to jam up a player at a certain amount of seconds or even a minute, no matter what you set, before the end of the previous item. So, for example, demo advert A is playing now, okay? Yeah. And we're expecting the next message to go into cart 2, which it will do, but it'll only go into cart 2 when it's ready there to do it. Watch this now on the screen. So you're seeing this count down to 0, and the next item will fall into 2. What it means is it's keeping all the players free all of the time, apart from the one that's playing. Instead of having one playing and one queued up ready to go, you've actually, in essence, got yourself an extra player all of the time.
That's right, yeah. And it just makes things a little bit easier as well. If you wanted to change the next item, with literally seconds to go. Our previous product, DARP, used to do that. So you could actually drag something and it would change the item that was queued up.
Absolutely.
But there was areas there where you could have fallen into a pitfall.
And some systems, indeed, you'll see have locks, like a little lock icon on them, so that basically when the next item is queued ready to go, it's locked in the player and you can't change it. Because
that's right.
You have to hold it there, ready for you to actually hear.
Yes.
So with PlayoutONE Pro, you don't get that. You can literally change that a second before it plays the next item.
And also, what's also important to note is because the item isn't loaded in kind of waiting like 30 seconds beforehand, if that copy changes 5 seconds before, the file itself changes 5 seconds beforehand, it won't be locked. The file will be free and it will change. And I'm not talking about changing it in the log. I'm talking about the physical file, because our other product, Auto Importer, manages files that are coming in. So if a traffic copy changes, the actual file can be, and the audio can be updated immediately.
And actually, to be honest, that's a first for any product at this price point. It really is, where you can have a traffic manager, a commercial manager, changing the advert, the audio for the advert that's just about to play in a couple of seconds, and it will actually have changed by the time it does go out on the air within a few seconds, which I think is that's super flexible.
It is, yeah. We've worked hard on making sure that, some people would argue, yeah, but if it's queued up, then it's going to be instant and it'll be there, it'll be instant to play. There's certain things that still have to happen. The loading of the file anyway is negligible in terms of speed. There's other things that go. There's other things that go on at the seg point that are going to take up more time than loading of the files. It's not even worth, worrying about. So it just happens. And of course, one of the other things that we do, I say of course, because you know this, Phil, but we have also created the audio caching. So any files that might be on the server for this hour that's playing out live now will be cached locally. So those files are going to be there on the same native system that the Playout system is playing on, not on a network server somewhere. That's
so as any techie that may be listening now will go, well, hang on a minute, you've just got rid of the queue ready to play. So how can you guarantee that audio is going to play within a second or two? And that's what you're saying. The loading mechanism is that the local audio the audio you're hearing is actually coming off the PC that's playing it.
Well, it's coming off the local one anyway. I mean, it's incredibly fast anyway off the network, but we always like to make sure that it's going to be as fast as it can be. So there is an option for caching the files locally from the server.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So yeah, it still works off the server, but if it finds the files locally, then it uses those, and that's all managed by a separate app, and it kind of looks after it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Now we can also see there it says 2 on the queued players. It says 2, 3. Then the next one, Note Link, is just a blue circle, and then the next one is 1 round. Well, the reason being is Note Link is probably really obvious, but I'll mention it anyway. Note Link isn't actually a piece of audio, so it's not going to go to a player. So it gives it a blue circle to let you know that, yeah, I've got this in my queue, I'll act on it, but it's not going to go to a player. So that's why it doesn't have a number on it.
That's brilliant. And one or two of you might be watching this now, fellow anoraks like me, thinking, well, I can't see a number 4 in there, and there's 4 players. Why is that?
Yes, it doesn't go to player 4.
It can't count to 4. Why is that?
Because it can't count to 4. No, we like to use what we've done is the quick keys or hotkeys, as some people might know them. If I just call them up here, actually, we can have a quick look at them. At the top of here, you've got a drop down where you can say any free player. You could set that to player 4, and then anytime you use a hotkey, it's going to play on player 4. So it kind of leaves. It doesn't need any more players than 4 players, than 3 players, beg your pardon. And so it kind of leaves the 4th one free for those operations. Mm-hmm. So it gives you the ability to sort of know when you press for a quick key or a piece of audio off a hotkey, it's going to go into player 4.
Yeah.
So the whole play line isn't interrupted.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's an older kind of legacy thing where systems like this would have to use, could effectively have to use all 4 players. If there were fast cuts playing, it would drop into 4. Whereas we've been able to code this up so that it doesn't. The log will only ever use 3 out of the 4 players, keeping that 4th one free.
That's right. Yeah.
Things all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Super duper. Well, thank you for that. That was it's just an overview of how the main log looks different. It's a very pretty thing, and I'm biased, but it's a very, very pretty thing.
Well, it's quite strange actually, because if you looked at me and saw the way I dress, you'd think, well, God, he's not got any idea about style. But I think it's very important, that these things not just function well but look good.
Yeah, absolutely. And
because you sit down in front of a playout system, you go, what the heck is that? Pass me my sunglasses.
Yeah, and just looks simple to operate, which is where we're at with this.
Yes,
wonderful, wonderful. Okay, anything else?
Well, on that, yes, just one more small point, and it's probably again very obvious. But if you make any changes within any of the playout ones that might be connected to this same database log, the changes are reflected instantly across the internet, across the network. So if you were in Studio 2 and you moved, where are we now? Demo Advert 1 and Demo Advert 7, move them round maybe, then that change would be reflected in here, and it'd all be sort of requeued, and everything would be up to date.
Yes, and that's what makes it super flexible in an enterprise environment. So
that's right, yeah, and it's fast
and it's quick. Yeah, fantastic.
Okay, cool. I was just going to say now something else we've put into PlayoutONE. This is moving away from the log a little bit, is the rotate carts, and I think this is something that you use yourself.
It is, and I'll tell you why, because. And again, we don't speak about other products from other people when we're chatting, but over the years you kind of look at different things, and people moan at you and say, oh, that's all right, but this could be better, and you listen, don't you? Because the more you listen, the more you learn. One of our customers over in the States said to us a wee while ago, it'd be great if we could do rotate cuts. Some users of other systems over the years may have seen something similar to this, where you can create a cart as like a holder, as it were, or an ID in this instance as a holder, and attach audio to it. So you only have to ever schedule that one number, and it's got numbers within it that rotate. So the actual audio rotates around itself. And that's absolutely what you're saying, isn't it?
That's absolutely right. So we can see here, we've set one up. Here's one I prepared earlier, the Breakfast Promo Rotator. So we've got 2 promos. If I'll just show you, they're here, 41009411010.
So you create an ID. So you see that ID there, that 41008. It's got an R next to it, doesn't it?
That's right. Well, that's what I was just about to do.
So that's the actual rotator, isn't it? That's the thing. Normally you'd see audio in there, and that would be an item.
That's right. Yes,
but in this case, it isn't, is it?
It's not. No. So we go in and we got a rotate tab there, and you can see the 2 UIDs that I've put in. And you can just drag them from there, or you can type the number in there and add. So you can see them both there, and we've ticked Enable Audio Rotation. So we'll come out of there. Now what happens is if I drag that to the playlist, you blink and you'll miss this. If I drag that in, drop it there. See, it's dropped it in. But instead of actually giving me the breakfast promo rotator 41008, it's chose the next one in the list of the rotate list.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I do it to do it again, then we'll get the next one.
Yeah.
See, weekdays, 41009. And again,
absolutely brilliant. And with this in mind, some may be watching now going, okay, so I just have to drag and drop that rotator into the log, and as you say, it will rotate the next available item within that rotator. But you can also day part that, can't you?
Yeah, you can day part them too.
Let's have a look. Open up the owl rotator again.
Yeah. Well, it actually wouldn't be there.
It would be there, wouldn't it? It'll be in the actual events, wouldn't it? There we go.
Yeah. So here we go. So rotate. And then day part and run dates. And then you can see all of the places where that particular item could be chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got enable day parting switched on, and it's telling me, well, the date start and the date end, they're not ticked.
Yeah.
It's just day parting. So that would just obey this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's telling me that, yeah, in a weekday there, I could choose, that particular cut. At a weekend, don't.
Yes. So, for example, you've got your breakfast show promo, and you've got, a weekday version. Oh, in fact, you may have three versions. You may have a Monday to Wednesday version, a Wednesday to Friday version, or a Thursday to Friday version, and then a weekend taste of the next week. You can create a rotator for breakfast, and then 3 bits of audio to put into that rotator.
Yeah.
Day part them, so weekday part them, as it were.
Yeah.
And just then when Air Talent wants to play it, or you want to schedule it, you're just scheduling the rotator. You're not scheduling 3 bits of copy in your scheduling package. You just go, no, I'll just drag it into that. Well, I'll drag it from the left to the right-hand screen, and it will pick me the right thing.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So if we go into this one, which is for the weekends, you'll see the day part run dates are only selected for the weekends. Now, anyone with an eagle eye will have spotted, and this is the Train Spotter Award, if anyone spotted this, go to the top of the class for being a train spotter. You'll have noticed when I was dragging the promo rotator in, they all say weekdays.
Yes, yeah.
They're not rotating round. That's because this particular one is set for weekends only. Well, it's not the weekend, it's Friday night. Well, some people that's the weekend, but it's Saturday and Sunday. So we've got in here literally the day part run date. Well, this will only work on a Saturday and a Sunday, not a Friday. So you can see how you can still have them in there, but day parted out. So if I was to literally say, well, actually, you know what? Let's just for the purposes of this, let's tick all those and get that saved. So we should find now that when I drop this in to the log, weekends, weekdays, so it's rotating around now.
Cool.
Because that rule's been, we sorted that rule out. But I just wanted to point that out just in case anyone was looking going, it's not worked, it's broken. It's not broken, this is a classic example of how things can be sometimes set wrong.
In a practical sense, then, because it depends on your radio background. I'm an old-fashioned dude, so I've been brought up in the world of scheduling on professional systems. So you have all of this in your mind with the scheduling packages that you may have. Yeah. If stations have got PlayoutONE Pro, and they're not wanting to be as structured in that way. And they want their air talent to basically, you go to your presenter on air and say, do me a favor, once an hour, can you play the breakfast promotion, please? You don't then have to tell them, oh, and by the way, only play that one because it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
You just say, no, play the breakfast promo rotator. And the air talent, the jock, will just go, oh, great, I'll just play that thing then. and the thought behind it doesn't matter about, because you've already put that into that card to go, only play that cut then and play that cut later.
That's right, yeah.
So
I know. I remember when we first talked about putting those in, and I was just like, well, what's wrong with people? Why can't they just schedule it? It doesn't make sense to me. That's just madness. Stop being lazy. But actually now I can see where that extends the metaphor for it, and it becomes more useful in respect to that. Like you say, you can literally have a quick key to press it, and it plays these things in rotate, because these things, they work off the quick keys as well. So if you drag the main rotator into a quick key, you get the same effect. Every time you press, the quick key, you'd get the next one in the list, in the rotation. So you just have one thing that you just keep going round in a loop.
Yeah,
Obviously, obviously obeying any day part rules if
That's
there's any
very,
there,
very
and date start and date ends. So yeah, I think that is can really be useful.
That's a nice new tool, nice new toy.
We like tools.
Another
feature is the early extra.
Early extra. Now, tell me about the early extra.
Yeah. Well, what the early extra is, again, this is one of the things I didn't quite understand at first when I saw it. But then over the years, I thought, that's actually, yeah, I can see where this would make sense. What the early extra is, you can set a marker now on an oversweep. This works. The early extra works on oversweeps primarily. And if you're familiar with what the oversweep is, it's a piece of production like a sweeper, and they go, "Way, the station's great, it's great." And when that happens, then the song, if the song's got an intro on it, so there's maybe 10 seconds of just music before anyone starts wailing, then that oversweep would instantly play over. Or if the sweeper was the oversweep was 5 seconds long, but there was only 2 seconds to the vocals on the next song, then it would play the oversweep for 3 seconds, then start playing the song. So you get it right butted up to the vocals. Now everyone's familiar with that scenario. What this does is it takes it one step further. So you could actually have a piece of production where you don't have to have it just primarily wet or primarily dry. You could have it half wet and then the back half of it dry. So it could be that, we play the best music. And then right at the very end, you've got this just dry bit where it goes, "This station's great. Listen to our station." That's the bit you want over the vocals.
Absolutely.
You don't want it to start right at the beginning, because that would just completely crash over all the noise. So you've got this little bit where there's nothing else apart from the vocal. Well, it'd be great if it would start there, and now it does it. So if we go into the sweeper one here, I've set an early extra point, which is here on this particular piece of production. So, and that's the actual extra point. So that's where it would normally play if it wasn't an oversweeper. It would then take the next item, but it is set as an oversweep. So what we'll do then is I will drag this into the log and drop him there. And you can see, I mean, the sweeper itself is 3 seconds long, but it's now saying, well, actually, I'm 1 second. Because if we open up this, we can see there's the early extra point that I set, and it's automatically calculated that it will start playing Liam and Rita here. Yeah. And then that obviously that's the tail end. That's the dry part, if you like.
Yes. Of
the sweeper. So ordinarily, if there was no early extra on that sweeper, that would have been butted right up to the beginning.
Yeah.
That would be there.
Of course, yeah.
And you got a lot of noise here, and that's clashing over it. It's just not working. The early extra point now gives you that ability to start it in the right place. And that's what that would do.
So you can be even more picky with what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, slick, I think.
Slick, yeah, picky. Yeah. Yes, it depends on which side.
I mean, you can be absolutely rubbish at being a radio station, and PlayoutONE will make you sound great.
Yeah, which is good.
It's a bold statement.
Isn't it just from its chief coder?
Yes.
Dear me, absolutely fantastic. I've also noticed, just to go through, there's lots of things to notice. If you're just joining us now, we have our monthly webinar. We're talking about PlayoutONE Pro, which is our new version of PlayoutONE, with its one log, which means that the log that you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen is dynamic. It updates from any machine on your network and is instantly updated by anybody in your station, which is fantastic. That's what we're doing. Partly that. We've got some more news in a bit, which is very techy and very exciting, coming up in a wee while. On the top of that log there, we've got a number of new icons, haven't we? Just on the grey bar at the top.
Yeah.
Again, we've been listening to those of you that have been feeding back via our Facebook page and other means. You know, why can't it do this? Why can't it do that? Can we change that? Just a couple of things that I've noticed on the top of the log. One of them, which if we just go to the little flag on the top there, Chris has still got control at the minute.
Oh, sorry. Well, you
should be able to take control. I'm going to take control. You're going to trust me with this. I'm not going to break it.
You're the one who uses it every day.
Right, here we go. I think I might have it now. Yes. Okay, so the little flag there. One of the things you may need to do on a daily basis is check to make sure everything in your log that you've scheduled actually has audio attached to it. And in the past, you may have just looked for an audio icon this side. You may have just gone on a wing and a prayer and hope that there's audio in it. You can actually now run a log. If you hit this little button here, you'll get a print missing copy report. What this does, based on date ranges and also based on which elements you want to check, it will quickly run through the log that you have to make sure all of your items actually exist. I'm hoping when I push print, all of the audio on the log is in the system. Shall we do it? Let's see what happens. Okay. Let's see what goes on. Yeah. Yay! Look at that!
You're organised.
So what it means is my system here has got audio. So every advert, every jingle, every bit of music, every voice track I've done has got audio attached. Okay. Total missing copy is 0. It's really useful for trafficking when you're doing your advertising to make sure your salespeople have given you the correct audio. It's in the right place depending on the order that you've requested and you've got on the system. So I like that. That's very, very useful. Also, if you're a megalomaniac, it works because you can check. If you're power hungry, you can just check to make sure everything's in place.
So this is an ideal system for a Bond villain.
Exactly. I mean, some of the stations that use PlayoutONE now have got national sales houses sending them copy, even getting onto their systems and putting orders on. So sometimes it's not down to the individuals in the station. They've got external people playing around with the database with their blessing. So it's good for the scheduler at the end to check to make sure all of that is in.
And there's a couple of megalomaniacs.
Yeah. You can't get lost with those, can you? So that's there. We've also got some of the little bits and pieces here. Very interesting little setup which we've got into one log here is swapping, isn't it? And this is basically just so, for example, if I wanted to look down my log here, let's just go down a little bit. Say if I wanted to see those two songs there, CeeLo Green and Simply Red, on my log here. If this was a live situation right now, I'd be doing a link into my headlines here. That song's going to chain into the sweeper and then stop. I might think, I tell you what I'm going to do. I want to swap CeeLo Green with Simply Red. Of course, you can just drag. Okay, you can drag the song up and down the log. Okay, like you can on every other incarnation. What you might want to do though is hit CeeLo Green. You might want to go to swap and swap CeeLo Green with Simply Red. And there we go. What's very important to mention here, it preserves the chain on the end.
Yeah.
Because under normal circumstances, if we'd have done that, I'm going to swap them back. Going into a break which needs to stop. If I just moved CeeLo Green up there and moved Simply Red down there, it would have preserved the chain. So
yeah, it just takes the information with it.
Yeah. So basically, CeeLo Green would have stopped whilst I was having a wee, in essence, if I was going to go to the bathroom. But when you do the swapping on here, it makes sure it knows that you've lifted something from a position where it was going to be green to a position where it could be red. It will ignore that and actually swap those around as well to make that work, which is quite nice.
So at the moment, that should be CeeLo Red.
So there we go. So that's really useful, actually, and that's been very useful here. Some of the other bits and pieces quickly. You can replace these with some nice little icons here. You can replace UIDs in the playlist or log. My mouse has got, I think it's possessed by the devil tonight. There we go. You can replace exactly. You can replace that ID with a unique ID from something else that you know. So if you know the actual ID of something, it'll just put it straight in. Something else to note, by the way, and this is also very important. You know, if you have an advert, say if demo advert 1, say for example it had a proper name with an advertiser on it, If that advertiser wanted to change their audio at the last minute, within half an hour or so of the whole system being on air, you can change your cart here, the audio, and you don't have to refresh any logs, right? Because the audio that you've got in that cart that may change will automatically change in here. And the length will change, the extra will change. So you'd have to go checking things on the log afterwards. I find that very, very useful indeed. You can insert a UID at the current position. Let me just see if my I think we'll certainly, there we go. So if I wanted to put an ID in there, I can just do this, and I can put, right, I want to put cart 1 in there, or cart 12 in there, insert, and it's straight in. I don't have to go looking for it in here first to drag it there. No. If I know the number, I can put it straight in the log, which is very good indeed. If you want to check the history, again, presenters may want to do this. If they're checking George Benson out, you might want to hit the I button, and then what will happen is it will show you a detail of when the actual UID of George Benson was playing. Now, when you're looking at this, you're thinking, hang on a minute, he gets a lot of airplay, does George Benson.
It's a tight rotation, isn't
it? This system we're showing you isn't the live system at Newark, it's our demo system. So all the history has been used every hour because we've been demoing it out this evening and playing with it. So that's the reason why. But on the live Newark system, you would see the George Benson asterisks, as it were, the actual UID of that cart being there. The artist would be a hashtag, and you'd see him there.
Yeah, so another song by that artist.
Yeah, another song by that artist. So that's useful to check quickly. What else is there quickly here? Let's have a look. We've gone through some of this. Some of this stuff's already in PlayoutONE standard, so we know, but we're just trying to kind of go on.
The calendar's quite good because that helps you. That allows you to jump to a specific part.
So if we do that, we can jump to dates, times. It's a little bit like when you're loading and saving playlists in the standard version, but of course this has got a living log situation where the actual log, as we call it, one log, is always on and always working. Brilliant. Anything else? Oh yes, I'm going to. Do you know, this is one of the simplest things in the world, but our presenters and the presenters that I know that use this version love it. Across the top here, we've got these little numbers. They are just hours of the day. And if you want to quickly jump to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you click that, and you're at 1 o'clock. I want to jump to 3 o'clock, I'm there. 5 o'clock, I'm there. You don't have to open up the calendar if you don't need to. And if you're in the same day, all you got to do is click on that, and away you go. Very useful indeed. Okay.
Well,
I feel like I know what I'm talking about.
Sorry, I was talking there. My mic was muted. Sorry.
You have to turn yourself on. Now, all this is fantastic. All this is brilliant. I think it is. I'm biased, but I think it is. We also have our scheduling package called Music One. Music One, with this version of PlayoutONE, talks seamlessly to it. I'm going to see whether Dave is back online with us after his Norman Collier moment.
I think I'm back. Am I back?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not actually in the UK at the minute. I'm in Canada, and the internet connection's a little bit sketchy, but hopefully you can hear me again now. The internet has come back. Yes, Music One. Obviously, Phil, at Newark, you've not been using the Auto DJ for a while, and you utilize Music One. There is no Auto DJ in PlayoutONE Pro, so you will need an external music scheduler. Do you want to give us a quick overview on how Music One integrates with PlayoutONE Pro and how easy it is to use?
Yeah, we can do. This is always a bit of a bugbear with programmers. It's always a case of, well, I don't want to put a song in twice. I don't want to put it in the playout system, and then the scheduling package, I've got to tell it again what I've just done. So we've designed the system with Music One to actually be integrated, which is rather useful, very useful in fact, because none of us have got lots of time anymore, have we, to do things. So if we look down the list here, if I want to put a new song or item into PlayoutONE manually, just like the PlayoutONE standard version, again, you'd probably click this button here, and then you'd find your audio. I've got a piece of demo audio, which should be on my screen on my desktop. If I can find it, there we go. And we've called it New Audio File. Wow. So we're going to double click on that. We're going to put it into PlayoutONE. So this is the same as standard. You know, those guys that are watching now that have got standard, they think, yeah, this is exactly what we do. It'll pull in all my data, as you'd expect it to do.
That's a great song.
Yes. Well, you're biased. You wrote it. So yeah, there we go. There's my song. You'd expect it to have all the kind of usual attributes, which it's got. I'm gonna give it a type because that's what I'm going to. It's a song, so I'm going to call it a song, which is down here. There we are. So giving it a song. I'm not going to do anything else to it because I want Music One to do that for me because I'm going to schedule through Music One. It's pointless me giving it a category in PlayoutONE because PlayoutONE isn't going to schedule it. So we're going to leave it at that for a second. If I do that and hit save, which should save that file as a new file. Yeah, there we go. It's there. Isn't that amazing? In Music One, which is running here, I should see that by doing this. Tracks. And in my new songs there. Oh my goodness. There's my song.
That's witchcraft.
That's witchcraft. So basically, the item I've just carted up in PlayoutONE has appeared automatically in Music One. And of course, from Music One, if I want to then put it onto my A-list, that song, I can drag it into A-list like this. Okay? So now it's in my A-list folder on my scheduler. And lo and behold, if I go back into this and open my song again, it's in the A-list.
Wow.
Great, isn't it? So you only have to do this once. You're going to put your music into PlayoutONE. PlayoutONE's going to talk directly to Music One to put it all in there for you. You've done it in one.
It's a big time saver, massive time saver that is, because I know other systems, you have to enter the songs into the music system and then into the playout system, and it all becomes a little bit complicated. One thing I did skirt over quite quickly was the fact that there is no auto DJ, so you do have to use an external music scheduler. Music One, though, makes it so easy to schedule the logs. Do you want to just show us quickly how easy it is to get a log into PlayoutONE from Music One?
Okay, let's just close this down now. So go back to Music One again. In Music One, there's a little icon called Logs. And let's create tomorrow's. So here we go. I'm just going to make my screen a bit bigger because I can't see everything here. So there we go. For tomorrow, because it's the weekend, hit OK. Here's my little arrow. Off it goes. This is scheduling tomorrow. And there it's done. So that's tomorrow done. I'm going to save it. That file is going to jump straight into Auto Importer and will appear in there. Let's see if we can get Auto Importer open, isn't it? There we go. So that file we just created, Music One's created, has been sucked into PlayoutONE Auto Importer. That's then bringing it straight into our one log. So if I go to just let it finish. As you can see, it's incrementing here. So that's 1800 hours tomorrow, 19, 20.
It's very therapeutic, that, isn't it?
22, 23, 24. Well, how long did it take me to schedule a radio station for a day then? Was it 15 seconds? It's really quick. Okay, so it's in there. So if I go to my little calendar on here and I go to tomorrow, which remind me is the 30th at midnight, there's my log. That's what we've just done, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. There's
and what I love about this version is you can just scroll all the way through and you can see all your logs for the next day and forever. And we can make changes, which is really nice. You can make changes on the fly there and then. Don't have to save anything. And also all the changes that you do made are replicated to all the different terminals that may be looking at its database, which obviously will be the On-Air Studio, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just back up a little bit?
Yeah.
I just wanted to point something out that you mentioned. I haven't got control at the minute. So, Phil, if you can just go into any piece of audio in the media finder.
Okay, dokie.
Right. You'll notice whilst we don't use the Auto DJ for generating audio, for generating playlists and logs in Pro, we do leverage the Auto DJ's power for run to time, which is a command that PlayoutONE has. which allows you to literally run your logs to time. And if your log is under, and you've set an emergency fill set category in your settings, the Auto DJ engine, if you like, will choose some items to fill the remaining time if it needs to. And that's why the Auto DJ tick box is still there.
I see, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to make that clear in case anyone watching the webinar is thinking, well, if you don't use Auto DJ, why is that tick box there?
Yeah, the engine portion of the engine is being used to make sure your hours actually do run to time, or if they do need to fill, if you're slightly underrun an hour, then it knows that it's got some kind of device in which to get you out of the doo-doo.
That's only if you use the run to time command, though. Once that command's triggered, it checks your hour, looks at it, goes, right, I'll do all this bits and bobs. Oh, you're actually underrunning, right? I'll insert from one of the items on the fill set category.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant.
Excellent. Well, people may be wondering, why have you shown us Music One on this webinar when it's about PlayoutONE? And the reason for that is that PlayoutONE Pro, it is a monthly subscription package. And so what we're doing as part of that monthly subscription package is offering you Music One, PlayoutONE Pro, Auto Importer, Monitor, Live Stream, File Copy, Remote Voice Tracker, and support all for one low monthly price, which we'll cover at the end of this webinar. But I just wanted to clarify those points. Obviously, you can use a different music scheduler. That's absolutely fine. We integrate with most of them out there, so you don't have to use Music One, but I just thought I'd clarify that point. Now, I know there's lots of questions coming in on Facebook, which we'll address very soon, but I just want to move over to our second part of this webinar, which is to demonstrate our new Alexa capability, which is, if you've been reading the news recently, quite interesting, because one big retailer, certainly in the UK, has said recently that they are now outselling DAB radios with these smart speakers. And so if you remember back to the early days of the internet, if you had your station on the internet, it was fantastic. Then when the iPhone came out, wow, we need to get an app for our station. We need to be on the App Store. And now in 2018, it's all about these smart speakers. And I think certainly the Amazon Echo, you find more of them now in households than you don't. And so these are the new devices where your station and your listeners can interact with each other. So what we're offering today, and we're offering it also as a separate service, is the chance for you to have your very own Alexa skill on the Amazon Echo store. So I'm going to bring Chris in again, because he's got one of our live demonstrations over in the UK to demonstrate for you. And again, it's for Radio Newark. And I'll come back to the pricing on this and how it fits into the PlayoutONE Pro package after Chris has demonstrated it. Over to you, Chris.
Okay. Well, really, I mean, the demonstration is quite straightforward. You just basically activate it by saying, Alexa, play Radio Newark.
Okay, playing Radio Newark.
There you have it. Maybe
that's the demonstration.
What more is there to say? I was just about to ask what was playing, but it's obviously. Here we go. Well, let's
ask it now.
Let's just see if it gets this right. Okay, Alexa, ask Alexa. Right, that's not my Alexa. She's gone to sleep.
She's like your wife.
Never listens possible. Alexa.
She's listening to Tears for Fears. She loves it.
It's broken.
I'd be taking that back.
I would be
Alexa,
taking that back.
How can it not work? How can it?
Yeah, tell her to turn it down first. Is she talking to you about turn herself down first?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Alexa, ask Radio Newark, what's this song?
Now playing is Tears for Fears. Everybody wants to rule the world.
Hey!
Oh, she did it. Eventually, it's just like same with
Alexa, stop.
Okay.
But women don't normally do that.
Radio Newark.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's the demonstration. What more is there to it? That's how it works. And I don't think, apart from having to smash it about a bit to try and get her to respond to the next, thing. which is obviously we'll make a note for Amazon there.
Mm.
Apart from that, it's seamless.
I tell you what, the reason why we wanted to do this was that if we, as a collective effort, over the past 4 or 5 years, we're able to get our stations onto the TuneIn platform, for example. That was great, and for a while now, TuneIn have. They were a little bit slow adding stations, and I think they're going through some differences at the moment where I'm finding people talking to me saying, well, it's a little bit difficult getting my station listed through TuneIn. And of course, although there are various apps available, one of the preferred apps that Alexa uses is TuneIn, because if you go onto an Alexa and say, play Radio Newark, she would have come back to you normally saying, playing Radio Newark on TuneIn.
Yeah.
We wanted to get past that, just in case things change, as they sometimes do.
Mm.
What's more ideal than having your station listed directly through the Amazon Alexa system? So when you say play Radio Newark, she'll just play Radio Newark direct, and I think that's the reason behind this, isn't it?
Well, there's that, and also it's the stats. Okay, you're not going to get anything from it being played on TuneIn, whereas with this, you can get your stats. You'll know how many people on a daily basis have been requesting it.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference between the two packages we offer. We offer the standard package, which is just the skill itself and the ability to have people say play your radio station, or the advanced package, which gives you access to your stats. So that's the difference between the two packages that we offer.
The smart speakers are really something, aren't they? Now, I know for a while.
Well, they are. I mean, I was never really taken in by the fact that you can get a radio station on your iPhone. Yeah, but I've got to reach for my iPhone. I've got to flick through the app store. I've got to find it. I've got to install it, and then all sorts of other. Do allow notifications. We want access to your photographs and your life and your favorite.
Yeah.
With this, you just say it. You can be lying on your bed, lazy as you like, and you say, "I fancy listening to Radio Newark." I'm not going to say her name because she probably
she's probably start again.
Broken.
Well, I was at a barbecue at the weekend, and we had an Alexa, one of the posher ones, the ones with big speakers built into them.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the music of the afternoon, and it was quite good fun actually, because I was annoying people. They were talking to the Alexa, saying, "Alexa, play Dr. Dre, please." And then I'd go, "Alexa, stop. Alexa, play Radio Newark." It was just like this big battle. Just to see.
You see, that is annoying actually. I see why you did it, because that's brilliant.
Yeah, because I like annoying people.
Well, for years, I mean, I went to a barbecue about 10 years ago, and it was at my mate Roy, and he had his laptop out, and he was playing all the music through the laptop, but he was using Spotify to do it. I think it was about 10 years ago anyway, but it was whenever Spotify was out. So, people, but the trouble with that was people were flocking around the computer and they were going, "Oh, let's listen to this song." And you get 20 seconds of the song, probably didn't even get to the vocals. Someone, "Oh, no, this one's better." And it's like, so it's constant changing of the music. And it's like, I just want to kill everybody right now, because I just want to hear a song, stop messing. And I do think that the rise of this technology does give the ability to mess, but with this at least, this is just in your home. It's useful. Yeah. It gives people the ability to listen to you easily. I think it's going to surpass DAB. And that's my personal opinion.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's one of those things that could actually do that. And there has been a tie-in recently, hasn't there, between Amazon Alexa and the Sonos system.
Is
it Sonos or Sonos? I can't afford one.
They're integrating Alexa into it. So I think it's, in terms of, again, this is my opinion, but I think it's going to be the higher volume platform.
Yes.
I think Alexa is going to be the VHS.
I'm not sure.
Oh, shit.
No, she is.
She's not sure. Was that on the DAB thing?
I don't know. I said excellent.
It's been infiltrated by all the DAB operators across the country. Okay, so how long does it take for a customer to get onto the Alexa store from just talking to us?
Weeks.
I
mean, if you come to us, you could be 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
24 hours, because we just need to sort of set everything up, providing obviously we get all of the necessaries from the client who wants it going on there. We get the logo, we get the authorization form for the logo and the artwork and all that sort of stuff, because they're particular about that kind of thing, because it's intellectual property content and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. As long as we've got everything in place, 24 hours. And a large part of that is just waiting for them to certify it.
Fantastic.
It's really good. It really, really is good. I've got a few questions from Facebook, if I may just interject, gentlemen, if you can hear me, that is still.
What, from Mark Zuckerberg?
Yes, he loves your demonstration, Chris. Hello to Russ, who has been in touch and says, would Pro work in a cloud situation? Yes, it would certainly work on a virtual system, maybe Dropbox to host the database. Pro still needs a SQL server, so you wouldn't be able to host a database in Dropbox. You would still need to host it on a SQL server, such as the one that comes free with PlayoutONE Pro. Another user says that the audio caching is a brilliant idea. Also means one can reboot the server and not have to take P1 down. Well, not quite, because it still requires the SQL server, but we're working on it. So hold on in there, James. We're working on it. Does it have multi-station support for somebody else? So if you've got two stations in the same building, again, working on it, not in this version, but anybody that does take Pro will get free upgrades to the next version. Look at that. We've not even launched it yet, and we're talking about the next version. But we've got loads and loads of things on the roadmap. So this is the initial version. There's more still to come. How does voice tracking work in this version? Works exactly the same way. But the beauty of it is, as soon as you voice track in this version, it's available to see on all other terminals. So someone else can go and seg it up for you in the seg editor whilst you're voice tracking, which is really, really neat. Does this work with, yeah, very lazy. Does this work with other packages? Broadnet, yes, it works absolutely fantastic with Broadnet for integrating adverts. Selector, Power Goal, yeah, they're all there. And then someone says, sorry to swear, Steve. Of course, Steve. From Music One watching this webinar tonight. Hello, Steve. What else have we forgot to mention? Well, pricing, I guess. It's always the last point on these calls. Pricing for PlayoutONE Pro is wholly dependent on your station size. And so we are not putting any, I'm going to say, what the price is for certain set of stations, because it totally depends on your setup. What I can tell you, though, is with the PlayoutONE Pro package, you will receive 5 licenses for PlayoutONE. So you can install that on, for example, 2 studios, a server, and 2 production machines, or however you want to distribute those licenses within your station. We are also giving you all the apps. So the auto importer, we're giving you the live stream, we're giving you remote voice tracking, we're giving you file copy, and also the Surface, which is the remote control applet which you can run on a laptop or a Windows 10 tablet. We're also going to have Music One in there for you if you want to take it. So you get the whole station package. You'll get support as well in there. So if you've got any problems, you've got support as and when you need it. And you can also throw in, for a limited time only, the Amazon Alexa with no setup fee. So it costs to set up an Amazon skill normally. We're throwing the setup fee out the window, and we'll include that in your monthly package as well. If you would like to find out more, then you can, of course, go to our website from Monday, where you'll be able to find all this information. Or you can, of course, give us a call or email us, and we can provide you with some specific information. Some more questions. James says, would splits machines need to be moved to Pro too? Well, one thing we haven't mentioned in this webinar, because we've just not had time, is the fact that with PlayoutONE Pro, if you have a split setup, so you've got different adverts going out on different transmitters, PlayoutONE Pro will queue the right ad break for you, won't it, Chris and Phil?
Yes, it will.
Yes,
which is always a beautiful thing, so you don't get your wrong ads going out on a wrong transmitter in the wrong order, which can be a bit of a nightmare when the traffic system come to reconcile it afterwards.
I think it's fair to say, actually, this is probably even more efficient, because it will, like you say, queue up to the specific break that you want.
And if for some whatever reason there's a double next on the main log, and you resync, it will resynchronize your splits. So you don't have to worry about jumping onto other machines to do it. It's all there. So
it's do you know what? For £1 million a month, brilliant, isn't it?
For £1 million a
very
month,
cheap. Very cheap. Yeah.
Just on the pricing, because I know Dave just mentioned that. Don't be frightened. We're aware of price pointing across the whole of the world, and I can truthfully tell you, as an operator of a radio station now, this is extremely affordable. Right, because I know he's kind of teased you, hasn't he, Dave? He's not really saying, it's going to be this much. It does depend on the size of your station. As in, are you a not-for-profit? Are you a commercial, local station? And if you run stations, you're probably used to this kind of thing. but the price in your head that you may have, nowhere near. Right, that's my tease.
That was in your best late night love songs voice as well, wasn't it?
Well, I run stations, and in the past when I have gone to other vendors for playout systems, and there's that moment when you call them and you say, "Can I have a quote, please?" Some of them don't get back to you for at least 2 weeks.
That's because they're laughing.
Because they're laughing at you. The majority will come back and you get a quote that's, nowadays things have got a lot more affordable. We know that. But they're still fairly expensive on a month-by-month basis. We can guarantee this is not going to make you wince, put it that way. You'll be all right.
And it's a radio station in a box at the end of the day. You've got everything in there that you would need to get yourself going with all the licenses, the support, the music scheduling package, and all the other apps as well. And we've not even touched on remote voice tracking and all that sort of stuff. Some news just in, though. On our next webinar in July, we're going to have Steve Warren on this panel, who's going to be showing us a little bit more on what Music One can do. So I know we skirted around Music One just to show the integration in a very quick fashion today with PlayoutONE. But Steve will be on this panel next month, and we'll be able to take your scheduling questions, whether you use Music One or use another system, but you've got a general scheduling question. Steve is a scheduling guru, and if there's anything that he doesn't know, it's not worth knowing, really.
I think we're going to have to schedule at least 3 hours for that webinar, not one, because
yes,
he knows so much that I think it's a couple of tins of Tennants and a few hours on the Parker Knoll.
Rich Clues, that price needs to be lowered. I'm just looking at some of the chat messages.
Hello, Rich. I can see it now. Price in my head is a month for Pro. As Dave said, I don't think you're going to need to find as much as that.
Yeah. So,
is this turning into the Price is Right now? Are people just taking it
higher or lower?
Yeah. Well, if you're on Facebook at the minute, you'll see Rich. You could see Rich's comment. It's not. No, that's higher or lower. That's a little bit too high.
Yeah, too high for us.
Jesus has been on. Hello, Jesus. When would it be available to buy? It's available. I'm right. So, I've had it here for 6 months. So I'm assuming, David, who's the managing director of this company, it's available.
Yep, we are going to be launching all the web bump and bits and pieces for you to download from Monday. So you'll be able to download it Monday and do the trial. Now, because it is a pro product, you can install it straight out of the box, but you will need probably to follow just our quick start guide to get you up and running. But apart from that, if you're comfortable in doing that, then you can download it from Monday. And if you're not, we can give you some help in getting that set up. And the good news is if you're a PlayoutONE standard customer, well, it all transfers with the click of a button, nothing else to do. So nice and easy to move across. I think that is us out of time. We don't appear to have any more questions, but if you do have any, then do feel free to drop us an email over the weekend or next week. Or if you want to chat, give us a call and we'll see what we can do for you. But we hope you enjoy Pro, the first incarnation of it, and there's a lot more to come from this product.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And on that note, we will end this webinar in a safer fashion than we ended the last one.
My mic is muting now.
Yeah, those of you on the last webinar will know what I mean. So on that note, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and we will speak to you next month. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Whose round is it?
Yours.